Alright, welcome back to another video. So today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to install a soft start system on a Houghton or RecPro as sold in the United States. This is the 9500 BTU model that's installed in my Class B camper van. Alright, so this is not an endorsement of this product by any means. There's two major manufacturers of these soft starts, and I've used both. So on my previous Class C, I used the competitor's product that I bought with my own money. On this one, I'm using the soft start with my own money. Honestly, the reason I went with this company boiled down to the fact, I mean, they both seem to have really good reviews. There's a few minor differences between how they work, but the main reason I went with this company is they had a wiring diagram for the Belaire 2801 compressor that I'm using, and the other company did not. That's really all it boiled down to. Main difference between the two is on the other one, you have to do a series of 5 startups on the compressor for it to learn it. This one, you do not. Some people say that's a good thing about the other one. I don't really know. We're going to find out, though, if this works. So the manufacturer of this air conditioning unit says that you do not need a soft start system. And they're probably right if you're replacing a larger air conditioner or you have ideal power conditions. But here in the van, I have 2 ways to start the AC. Number one is through my inverter. So it will start on my 2000 watt Ames inverter, and this is also a transfer switch, so if I'm connected to shore power, which is 15 or 20 amps, it will bypass the inverter and use that to start the compressor. So the problem is, when the compressor first starts, it has a major inrush of current and pulls a ton of power. And this has the surge capacity of 6,000 watts to do it, even though when it's running, it's around 1,000 watts continuous with the fan on high and the compressor running. So it pulls much more than 1,000 watts when it's trying to surge, and it actually causes my inverter to beep, basically just as a warning that it's pulling too much power. And I don't really run it on the inverter, but even when I ran it on shore power, I had a slightly smaller extension cord and it would not start the air conditioner. So I used a beefier extension cord and it started it, but I didn't want to be running that close to the wire, because literally if I turn anything else in the van on, it will put it over the edge. And it's just when it starts the compressor that it's a problem. So that's the point. That's why I'm installing it. So even though the manufacturer says it doesn't need it, it does need it, and that's why they make one for it. So the first step is, I'm disconnected from shore power, but I do have a very large inverter here. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn it on, and then I'm going to just to kind of drain the capacitors, and then I'm going to cut the main power switch off. Let's see, we're actually, even though I cut the power off, the lights are on because we had the solar power. We're still going. All right, so the next step is take the cover off, and we need to see if we even have a room, because everything is neatly compressed inside of here. So there are these screws all around the perimeter, and it does use a larger Phillips bit. Just going to strip them out. Top comes off. Alright, so here's what we got going on here. Definitely not much room. It looks like everything we need is probably located in this box. Well, at least the controllers are. All right, so it looks like there's a couple of screws here holding this whole control assembly down. So there's one right here for sure. There's one over here. Down here. So I was kind of going through the plastic shield and holding the whole unit down. Take this other screw right here. Let me take this plastic shield off. Warning. Alright. So get in here. There's a screw there. There's a screw here. Probably one on the other side too. Maybe not. We'll start by taking those two screws out, see if we can get this cover off. So the cover comes off. See, this is the whole control assembly here. Alright, so this is our fan unit here, obviously for the compressor. And they put this silicone all over the bolts and everything, so we have to pull that silicone off. We need to remove the fan assembly because our capacitor, run capacitor, is underneath the fan, unfortunately, and all the wiring. So not everything we need is in this box. So on each of these, once you kind of get the silicone out of the way, there's these 4 10mm nuts. Not sure why they put silicone on these, maybe just to keep them from loosening up. And there's a washer and a lock nut, so make sure you don't lose any of that. So see, this side's loose. Now there's 2 more over on this side. Get that lifted out of the way here. Alright, so under there's more silicone covering 4 screws to take the cap off of here. Alright, so move that. You can see here is our capacitor. Now be careful, this could be energized. So what I'll do is I'll take a screwdriver, touch the 2 terminals just to make sure de-energized. Alright, so now we've got access to stuff, and this is where stuff starts getting a little crazy, because we have to be able to run all these wires through the same locations. So this, they just put a big glob of silicone around, so I can get rid of that, and we'll be able to obviously feed the wires through. We'll have to kind of loom them up and zip tie them with everything real neatly once we get it all put in here. So first I gotta kind of decide where I want the box. So I set this back for a second out of the way. I'm gonna put this here. Might just barely be room, like right here, but I'm afraid you're gonna hear that rattling, the compressor, because you can see it's able to move, and that's how they keep it quiet. So that might not be the best spot. This is waterproof. It can go anywhere. In theory, I do want to have it in here, so it could even go, you know, in here. You just don't want it to cause damage to anything moving around, bouncing around. All right, so I found a better spot for it. It does have double-sided tape. Just move a little silicone on the top here. We're gonna put it here, so instead of putting this plastic piece on it back on, I'll put it right here, and I'll get it in as far as I can without it touching the compressor or anything in here. and we'll just stick it right there. It was just a touch of clearance issue, so I just broke off just a hair of the styrofoam, and there's this plastic here. I just broke off with a pair of needle nose pliers. It just broke right off without causing a problem. And now the cover will go on. Because I usually have to move it in just a hair like this. It's just a little under the styrofoam here. So that's where that's gonna go. Now we just gotta run our wires to where they need to be. Turn it this way if it makes more sense. And we'll run the wires into here that need to come into here, and the ones over here that need to come over here. Like I said, we'll run them with the same wiring, routing that's already in here. All right, so follow me here. Got these two terminals on the top of the capacitor, and there's multiple little spades on each one. So these white wires, which is referred to as the common terminal, and one of them runs to the control box in here, and the other one runs to the compressor. So we need to determine which one runs to the compressor and which one runs to the box, because we want the one that runs the compressor, and we're going to disconnect it. And we're going to connect it to the blue wire coming out of the soft start box. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to use my multimeter with the continuity tester. I need to disconnect both of those. I'll figure out which one's coming into here. That'll be the easiest way to do it. And then the opposite one is the one we want to connect to, if that makes sense. So it's this one here, as you can hear. So that means I want to connect the blue one to this wire. So I'm going to go ahead and reconnect this. Where was that? Well, I know. Yep, that's the one I want. So this runs to the common terminal on the compressor. So I'm going to make my connection to the blue wire with a male spade terminal, and then I'm going to wrap it in electric tape. That way it's protected. All right, so got that done. Now we're going to take the black wire that comes out of the soft start. Like I said, I'm kind of routing everything the way the factory wires went. And then I'm going to put a female spade on it, and I'm going to connect it back onto this terminal here, where that white wire was connected on top of the run capacitor. All right, get our black wire put back on that side, same as the white wire. Now we're gonna take our yellow wire, same thing, we're gonna route it over to here. We're gonna put a female terminal on it, and we're going to connect it to the other side where the red wire is connected, which is the Herm terminal. So we'll connect that with our female spade, and they include all this stuff in the kit when you get it. So we're gonna go ahead and connect that on there. All right, so that is all the wires that's gonna be over to the capacitor, and the red and brown wires we're gonna be connecting inside of here. So now we can go ahead and get everything taped up. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these 3 wires, I'm going to tape them to the harness that's already there. And then they do include some zip ties, but I've got a bunch more. So I'm gonna get everything neat and tidy and get this put back down into place, and then I'll get some new silicone on where the wires go in to here like they did, and just to keep water out of here. And then we'll be ready to make these connections. All right, so did have to modify this just a little bit, just cut it the hole a little larger, since we've got more wires going through now. So now when I put it down, you can see it'll be snug on there. I'll go ahead and just put a little silicone on here, and then screw that back down like that. All right, so we've got all taped up, zip tied in place, new silicone. Key is you want to kind of make it look like you weren't even in there. Put one more zip tie. They had it zip tied to this rail, and then we'll put the fan back on. All right, so I'm gonna wait to put silicone back on these until I make sure everything's working good. So now I've got all our wiring routed over to here. So now I need to get our red and brown wire put into here and make that connection. All right, so we've got a red and black wire coming in through this little push through grommet here. I took the silicone off. We'll put new silicone on there when we're done. So this wire here, this black wire, goes to the compressor terminal. It's a COMP. We're going to disconnect it from here, and we're going to connect it to the brown wire with a male spade terminal. And then we're going to put a female spade terminal on the red wire, and we're going to push it on to that terminal there, and that will be it for the wiring. So again, we're going to remove the black wire, connect to this one, and put the red wire with the female spade terminal, and we're going to push it onto here. All right, so while trying to take off this terminal, the black compressor terminal, it is really on there, and this relay is just soldered to this board, and I didn't want to, you know, risk snapping that relay off trying to get that off. I could not get it to come off. So what I did is I took the wire and I cut it after it came off of there, and then made the splices the same way. So the wire coming from the compressor, the black wire, just got connected to the brown wire like it would have had I got that terminal off, and then I just made a little, that just became a little jumper with a male terminal, and I spliced it to the red wire. So again, coming out of the compressor goes to the terminal for compressor goes to the red wire, and the black wire coming from the compressor goes to this brown wire here. Again, I just didn't want to break this here, so be careful. If you can get it off, great, but don't put too much torque on it. Try to hold this down while you pull up on it, because like I said, this is just on this circuit board here. All right, so that should be it. So I'm going to tape these up, get everything put back together, get our metal cover put on here, put the soft start on top of here, and then I'm going to try it before I button everything up completely. I'm going to turn it on and make sure that our lights come on according to what they said. So it says turn power and AC breaker on, turn AC to auto cool setting, and thermostat to 55. It says green light should be on. Green light means the compressor is running, and there probably will be a 3-minute delay before the light comes on. And it says if there's no light, obviously call for tech support. All right, so there's how it looks with everything back together. Everything's zip tied down. Except before I button it up, I'll squirt some silicone there and along here, the top of this box here where they had it, and then back on these screws. But now we're gonna try it out, fire it up, and see if it works. All right, so there it goes. The compressor just kicked. We have a green light. Hear it running. I'll go inside and make sure it's cool. All right, so it was blowing cold air. So that's how you do it. So like I said, go ahead, we're gonna seal up a couple little spots where there was silicone on there, and that's all there is to it. And I did not hear the inverter kick, so that means it's working. No problems. Inverter's happy. Started right up. You can kind of hear the compressor just kind of, it's not such a loud bong when it starts, just kind of eases in. Again, pulling almost a kilowatt, so 82 amps, 12.9 volts, about 1,000 watts. Definitely don't want to run it on batteries for long. All right, so that's all there is to that. Hopefully the video was helpful. If it did, be sure to like it, please. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. I'll have a link in the description to where you can buy the soft start that I used in this video. And it seems to work good so far. Hopefully it stays that way. Until next time, we'll see you later.